So now we're going to solve for the third mock test 3. Let's start with the very first question. The first question is simple integration. You are given the integration of 31 square root x. بما معناه it's the integration of 31 x to the power of half dx. Okay, so you need to integrate this. A quick way to solve integration is, or an easier way to solve it is if you take the constant اللي عندكم إياه برا. يعني 31 تقدرون تخلونه برا إذا يسهل عليكم الحل. إنزين لأن constants are not affected by integration. فهذا الجواب بيكون عندنا 31. If we do the integration, x power half, القانون مال integration is x power half. We're going to add 1 for general rule, and then we're going to divide by half plus 1. Okay, this is your rule plus c. So if we simplify this, this is going to be 31 times x to the power of half plus 1 is 3 over 2 divided by 3 over 2 plus c. All right. We can further simplify it, but you can see already in your solutions it is given exactly in this way, not simplified. So you have x power 3 over 2 up and 3 over 2 down. اللي هو d. This is your answer. All right. Let's move on to the next question. This was very basic integration. It's also another integration question. عندكم x squared plus 20x plus 14 over x dx. The way you will do it here is if you have one denominator, you will separate everything by itself. So what do I mean by that? So you're going to have over x squared over x قصدي plus 20x over x plus 14 over x dx. إنزين. If it makes it simpler for you, I'm only going to do this one time. If it makes it simpler for you, تقدرون تسوون integration مال كل واحد بروحه، تكتبونه بروحه عشان ما تتخربطون. إنزين. يعني تقدرون تسوون integration. X squared over x is just x, okay? So this is just simplifying x squared over x plus dx هني plus 20 نطلعه برا أو مو لازم حتى نطلعه برا هني لأن هني what happens here you're gonna have 20 dx inside. Why? Because here if you notice the square goes with x هني x will go with x فبيبقى لنا بس 1 or 20 up plus هني we can take the constant outside ونسوي الانتجريشن مال 1 over x dx. You don't have to do it this way. زين, you can do it directly if you know how to do it directly, but this is just to explain the concept. يعني you can do the integration of each one by itself. So the integration of x is x squared over 2 plus the integration of a constant is just the constant times x, يعني 20 times x, and then here plus 14, the integration of 1 over x, which is ln absolute value of x plus c. All right? And this is your final integration. And it's going to be x squared over 2 plus 20x plus 14 ln of x. Usually you put the absolute, but it can also be written as plus x, assuming x is positive. So this will be your final answer. So it's going to be x squared over 2, meaning it is not this, it's not this, it's not this. These are all x cubed over 3. It's going to be x squared over 2, so it's the first or the second. And the last one is with 14, with the constant. So this is your answer. All right. Moving on to the next question. Okay. So now we have solved the differential equation. All right. If you notice here, no initial values were given, so we're going to have our answer in plus c. How do you solve this? So again, the first thing you're going to do is separate. So we have dy by dx equal x plus 17 over y. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to separate. So how do you separate? You're going to take the dx to the other side. And then a dy is equal to x plus 17 over y dx. But we are not done. Why? لأن عندنا إحنا الحين dx with the x, but our dy is not with y. الy للحين مو بصوب dy. So we need to take this y to the other side. Therefore, we're going to have y dy is equal to x plus 17 dx. Okay, this is just algebra. You should know how to move the y from here to here. You're multiplying both sides by y, or whichever way you understand, cross multiplication or whatever. All right, but you need to understand why the y has moved here. الحين عندنا الx's ويا الx's والy's ويا الy's. So what can we do in the next step? It's we just integrate y dy, which is equal to the integration of x plus 17 dx. Then, so we're going to be doing integration. Integration of y is simply y squared over 2 is equal to x plus 17. So we'll integrate the x by itself. It's x squared over 2. And then plus 17x plus c. Okay. Now, if you notice, we don't have just y by itself anymore on this side. We have y squared plus 2. Sorry, y squared over 2. معناته we need to simplify it so we have y by itself on the other side. زين. So how do we do that? We can first get rid of this 2 at the bottom over here. And then this 2, we can take it to the other side by multiplication. So it's going to be multiplying by 2 on both sides, for example. معناته بيكون عندنا y squared is equal to 2 times x squared over 2 plus 2 times 17x. زين. Oh, عشان you guys don't get confused, it is distribution what I'm doing. So it's 2 times x squared over 2 plus 17x. And like I said, plus c, you can keep it by itself at the very end. It doesn't matter, and it's a constant. Whether it's times 2 divided by 2, it will stay a constant c. لأنه we don't know what the value of it. فتقدرون تخلونه كسي بس برا. وبعدين بيكون عندنا y squared is equal to, بنوزع ال 2 الحين. فبيستوي 2 times x squared over 2 plus 2 times 17x plus c. That means y squared is equal to 2 and 2 will cancel. We'll have x squared. The 2's will cancel. And then plus 2 times 17 is 34x plus c. Now we still have y squared here. So what do we need to do? We need to do the square root of both sides. عشان to get rid of the square with the square root. فبيبقى لنا y is equal to the square root of x squared plus 34x plus c. Again, the plus c can be under the square root or also outside the square root. It doesn't matter, and it's a constant value. So if your solution has it under the square root or outside, it's still correct as long as everything else here is together. So we have the square root. This doesn't have a square root, so it's not this one. This doesn't have a square root. Obviously, it's not none. X squared plus 34x. It's not minus. It's not this. So this is your answer. Okay? This is how you would solve for such question. What do you mean, can you go for the equation? Is this clear? This is how you would solve separation. This is the whole idea of solving separation. And then? Right. Let's move on. And then find the derivative of y equal x power 8 sine 42x. What does this mean? Find the derivative of this. معناته we need to find dy by dx or y prime. And then, so we need to find dy by dx or y prime, whichever. Then this is what the differentiation or finding the derivative is. But in this case, what do we have? We have, so our question is, we have y is equal to x8 sine 42x. Here we have two functions multiplied by each other. So this is going to be our u, and this is going to be our v. This is product rule بما معنى. So remember, for product rule, our differentiation is u prime times v plus u v prime. All right. This is the equation. It is given also in the formula sheet. This is the equation for a function where you have a product rule to be applied. فهني our u prime, our u is equal to x power 8. And then let me write it step by step. So our u is x power 8. Our u prime is the derivative of x to the power of 8 is 8x power 7. And then general rule. And for v is equal to sine of 42x. V prime is going to be the differentiation of sine is cosine 42x. But since we have a constant inside, we have to multiply it outside as well. So this is your first step, finding your u, your v, or determining your u and v, and then finding the differentiation of both. And now we can plug it back into this equation. So we're going to have dy by dx is equal to u prime, which is 8x power 7, times v, which is sine 42x, plus u, which is x to the power of 8, plus, times v prime, which is 42 cosine 42x, okay? And that's it. This is it. You can just simplify this if you like. Remember, this is multiplication for all of them. What does this mean? معناته the 8x here, 8x power 7 sine 42x is fine. Here you have x power 8 times 42. You can put the 42 before it. So this will look like this. So dy by dx, if we simplify, it's 8x power 7 sine 42x. Usually this is the order. So it's going to be constant times variable times whatever the trigonometric function is. يعني sine, cosine, كل هذا. Plus, let's do the same thing here. So we have the constant of 42. So 42 times x power 8 times cosine 42x. And this is addition in between, all right? So this can be at the beginning or at the end. It doesn't matter, all right? But أهم شيء, these two should be added to each other. So if you notice in the solution, they have this part as first, which is fine. As long as this part is first and this part is second, and you have addition in between, it is the same answer. لأن you can add up, يعني example, 1 plus 2 is the same as saying 2 plus 1, all right? Because it's addition, so you can have whichever come first and whichever come second. So let's look at what we have. First thing, I can instantly say that this is wrong because there is no negative sign. We have plus. This is the first thing. Now let's look at 42x power 8 cosine 42. So the first one has it, the second one doesn't have it. The third one has it, the fourth one doesn't have it. So we know that one of these two is our correct answer. Now let's look at our sign. We have 8x power 7. So the first one has it, the second one doesn't have it. معناته it's not this, it is this. This is our answer. All right? Okay. Let's go on to our next question, which is also differentiation or finding the derivative. Before I move on to this, remember that you will be given this equation sheet, all right? You do not need to memorize your product and division rule. Here, if you notice, for the quotient rule specifically, let me actually copy paste this over there. So in the formula sheet, you are given this quotient rule, all right? What does this mean? This quotient rule, it says V du. Du is the same as u prime, all right? This is u prime. And dv is v prime. It's the same meaning, all right? So du is u prime and dv is v prime. So يعني you can write this equation as the differentiation of u over v زين is equal to v u prime v times u prime minus u times v prime. It's the same meaning. زين يعني بما معناه you're differentiating all over v squared. Okay? This is what this basically means. So in this case, we have y is equal to sine of x over cosine of x. معناته because this is division of two functions, y prime or dy by dx is equal to vu prime minus u v prime over v squared. So the first thing you will do is your numerator is going to be your u and your denominator is going to be your v. Always this is the case. فيعني u is equal to sine x, u prime will be equal to cosine x, and for v, v is equal to cosine x. V prime, the differentiation of cosine, becomes minus or negative sine of x. And then all you have to do is plug in these values into this equation. معناته our y prime or dy by dx, it's the same thing. All right? It's just different notation, but same meaning. dy by dx بيساوي v times u prime. So what is our v? It is cosine of x times u prime, which is cosine of x, minus u, which is the sine of x, times v prime, which is minus sine x. All right? All over v squared, which is cosine squared, cosine of x squared. Okay? Before I simplify this, one thing you guys need to know in notation form. When you see cosine x squared, like this in brackets, this is the same as cosine squared x. Okay? But when you see cosine x squared without brackets, this is the same as saying cosine of x squared. يعني هني you're squaring the entire cosine, all right? And they usually put the 2 on the cosine before your function. هني you're only squaring x inside the cosine. So it's going to look like this. So this is something important to know. It's the same thing for sine as well. It's the same idea, but this is just an important note to know. So let's simplify this equation a little bit. Y prime is cosine x times cosine x is cosine x squared. Minus times minus becomes plus, all right? Because we have minus sign times minus sign times, and so minus a negative sign times negative sign will become positive, and sine times sine is going to be sine of x squared over cosine x all squared. Remember, like I said earlier, this is the same as saying cosine squared x plus sine squared x over cosine squared x. It's the same, and you can either keep it in this form or this form. So it depends on how it's given in the solution. So the first thing we know is there's going to be plus between them. So we know that this is wrong and this is wrong. All right. And if you notice here, the difference between this and this, at the bottom, there is no squared. All right, there is no squared over here, so it is wrong. Here we have the squared, so this is correct. So it's cosine squared x plus sine squared x over cosine x all squared, which is either in this form or this form. And obviously it's not 26. Tamam? How do I know if I should put minus or plus between them? Okay. The way you will know if you put minus or plus is if you have quotient rule, this is the form you're going to be following. If you have product rule, you're going to be putting addition. Product, يعني multiplication, معناته you'll do addition. Quotient, معناته division, معناته you will put minus. Okay? So make sure you remember these two equations. If they won't give you a formula sheet, then make sure you know these two equations. تمام? And obviously, the more you practice, the better you will get with solving such questions. Let's look at the next question over here. So the limit as x goes to 6 of this value, very simply, the limit basically means this is equal to 6 to the power 2 plus 12 times 6 plus 34. So all you're going to be doing is you're going to be substituting the value of 6 for x in each one. If there is no denominator and it doesn't go to 0, معناته you can directly just substitute the value. So in this case, it's going to be 36 plus 12 times 6, which is 72 plus 34, which is equal to 142. So this is your answer. Okay? Very simple. When you see limit and there's no denominator, you can just plug it in. Even if there's a denominator, if it doesn't equal to 0, then that is simply just your answer. Okay? Now, let's see the next question. Find the derivative of the following, which is y equal x power 64 plus x20 minus x8 plus 36x minus 109. This is just your general form. So this is going to be x power 64 is going to be 64 times x power 63. Remember, your general form is x n minus 1 times n. يعني بما معناه you're going to be subtracting 1 from it. All right, so if I just do the general form for the first one, this is going to be x power 64 minus 1, and you're going to take the 64 and multiply it outside. All right, this is the general form, plus the same thing for the rest. So this is 20x power 19 minus 8x power 7 plus 36, and minus 109 becomes 0. Why? Because constants, when differentiated, become 0. All right, so our y prime, if I now just simplify, is 64x power 64 minus 1, which is 63, plus 20x power 19, minus 8x power 7, plus 36. So we don't have any 109, so this is definitely wrong. This is also the wrong. All of these have 36. Let's look at the first value. This is x power 63. This is wrong. So this is x power 65, which is also wrong. So this is our answer B. All right. Very simple. It's simple differentiation. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with this. All right. Let's look at the graph. Now, in this question, they are giving you a graph like this. Okay, you are given a graph here. And they say find the area below the curve. And this is very important. They say from A to B, meaning that you're going to have to start from point A to point B. معناته from here, which is A, to here, which is B. Okay, so they only want this area over here. Okay, they don't want any other area other than this. All right, so what does this mean? From A to B, where A equals 17 and B equal 21. So they gave you the values of A and B. This basically means when you are doing your integration, remember, to find the area under the curve, you are going to be integrating. So it's going to start from 17, which is the value of A, all the way to 21, which is the value of B, because these are your x values. All right, so another way I usually write it is from x equals 17, عشان you guys understand where it's going from, to x equal 21. Okay, and now they've given you the formula of the curve itself, so it's just the integration of y, which is x cubed minus 5x squared plus 6x dx. And now you just integrate normally. So the first thing you will do is you're going to integrate it normally. So x cubed becomes x4 over 4 minus 5x squared becomes x cubed over 3 plus 6 becomes x squared over 2. All right, from 17 all the way to 21. Then what are you going to do? You're going to separate them into two pieces and the minus in between them. What do we put? The first one, we're going to put the higher range. The first one is going to have our 21 in it. So it's going to be the same equation that we got. So x power 4 over 4 minus 5 x power 3 over 3 plus 6 x squared over 2. And the same exact thing, this is going to be in both cases, over here and over here. All right, but the only difference is the value of x is going to change. So for the first one, it's 21, the upper value. And for the second one is, let's use blue. It is 17, the lower value. Okay. And then you're just going to put this into your calculator as a one piece, all of it, and then find your answer. So it's going to be 21 to the power 4 over 4 minus 5 times 21 cubed over 3 plus 6 times 21 squared over 2. So the first part of it is 34508.25 minus, I would usually do it that way as well. So you would find the answer of the first one and then the other one, and then you're going to just subtract. So minus 17 to the power of 4 over 4 minus 5 times 17 to the power of 3 over 3 plus 6 times 17 to the power of 2 over 2, which will be 135558.92. And then, which is equal to, so we just subtract this from that, 3508.25, 34508.25, which is equal to 20949.333, which is simply your C answer. And then the reason I did the full method is so you guys understand how to solve it fully, because I'm not sure how they're going to be giving you the solutions usually. ولكن you can directly just put this equation into your calculator and it can integrate it for you from these limits. The way to do that is, okay, if you look at your calculator, if this is your calculator over here, this is your screen, you're going to have your shift and alpha buttons over here, and then you're going to have here a button that is calc, and then next to it there's a button that is the integration from something to something and the box like that. All right, so this is the button you can use. It's going to simply, when you click on the button, you're going to be given this, a box, and a box over here, dx. So what you're going to be putting is, you're going to be putting using alpha, then, and then you're going to hit the closed bracket like this. Then اللي هو closed parentheses. If you notice on top of it, it will say X in red on top of it. Then, so you're going to hit alpha there to get X. And then you're just going to write your equation. So you're going to write alpha X power 3 plus, يعني it's going to look like this. Then it's going to be, your final integration has to look like this, 17, 21. And here you're going to have X cubed, the same equation, minus 5X squared minus, is it minus, plus 6X dx. This is how your final solution should look on your calculator. And then once you do that, you just hit equal and your final answer will be exactly the same. Let me just double check. So 17 and then 21. Oops, I forgot the squared. Okay, so I got 20949.333, which is exactly the same answer. And then, so for when you have limits given, the idea here is to understand how to generate this equation. Once you know how to get this equation, you can directly just plug into the calculator using this method, and you will find your final answer. All right. Moving on to the next question. Another graphing question. So here, the region R is bounded by the curve, the x-axis, and the lines x equal a and x equal b, which is also given. So this is your range, okay? X equal a equal 5 and x equal b equal 16. معناته, you know from the beginning, your a is going to be from a, which is 5, all the way to 16 in your integration. And that's it. And then you just write in your formula. So in this case, it's x squared plus x plus 1. When you have only one curve, that's it. That's all you have to do. Put this, and you can either solve this in the calculator or you can solve it manually. All right, I'm just going to show you the integration of it. So this is going to become x cubed over 3 plus x squared over 2 plus x from 5 to 16. And then you can just directly calculate that in the same way, or using the calculator. It's going to be x squared plus x plus 1 from 5 to 16. And you get 1450.167. All right. So it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. Oh, it's right here. This is going to be your answer. Keep one thing in mind. If for any reason you get a negative value in your calculator, just convert it into positive, because area is always positive. Then you can never get a negative value for area. The meaning of the negative value is just that the area is under the x-axis, like I explained last time. The area is always a positive value. Area, you cannot have negative area. Area is always a positive value. So just in case we don't see a question like that, keep that in mind. All right. Let's go on to the next question. All right. Again, here, you can either do the full way. I'm just going to do the integration. So you guys can know this is integration from 0 to pi of 13 sine x plus 62 cosine x. So this basically means 13 sine becomes negative cosine x plus 62 sine x. This is the integration of this function, or this statement over here. And they gave you from 0 to pi. Very important point here. Very important point. Calculator should be in radians. All right, when you're integrating, just make sure your calculator is always in radians, because your sine and cosine from 0 to pi, معناته you are dealing with radians. So you can either do the method that, يعني, the manual method, or you can just put this directly in your calculator, but make sure it's in radians. The way you will do this is you're going to hit shift mode, all right? So it's going to be shift plus mode plus 4. And then you're going to see it says 4 is RAD. And you will know in your calculator that it's in radians, because in the screen, on the top of the screen, you're going to see the letter R over here. That means it's in radians. If it says D, that means it's in degrees. All right. So make sure you are converting your calculator to radians when you're solving such a question. So it's going to be minus 13 cosine x alpha x plus 62. Sorry, we're just going to do it directly. So it's going to be 13 sine of x plus 62 cosine x from 0 to pi. Again, pi is in the calculator. It's just shift pi. And that will give us 26. All right. So it is our answer. So use your calculator for these cases over here, but that doesn't mean you don't have to study integration. لأن just like you'll see in the next question, when you do not have limits, you cannot solve using a calculator. All right. But again, you need to be taking advantage of the tools that you have while studying. And I'm never against someone using the calculator if it's allowed. I'm always supporting that. But in this case, just make sure you use it wisely and make sure you still know your integrations, because in such questions, your calculator won't help you. So in the integration of cosine of 23, this is equal to, and cosine, when you integrate, becomes sine 23x. However, keep in mind that this is integration and not division. All right. what does this, oh, not differentiation, I mean. What does this mean? This means that you're going to have to not multiply, but you're going to have to divide by the 23 value over here. All right. Same thing over here. So it's plus sign becomes minus cosine 52x. Again, you're going to be dividing by 52 because we have the constant of 52 over here. And of course, plus c. So this is just simply equal to sine of 23x divided by 23 minus cosine of 52x divided by 52 plus c. All right. So obviously it's not the last two. It's not this one. It's not this one. It's not going to be none. It's not plus, it's minus. So it is the first answer. And then moving on to the next question. Find the derivative of this function. So they give us y. All right, so they gave us y is equal to sine 27x plus 82. Sine 27x plus 82, this is the same as saying let u equal 27x plus 82. This is known as chain rule. Then when you have a function inside a function, you're going to let u equal 27x plus 82 عشان يطلع لكم y is equal to simply sine of u. And this is easy to solve now because dy by du is going to be equal to sine u becomes cosine of u. Simply. Then, however, this isn't our final answer. We need our answer in terms of x. So what do we need to find as well? We need to find our du by dx. So we need to find du by dx, which is the differentiation of this u, which is just simply 27. And what does chain rule say? Chain rule says dy by dx, which is the actual differentiation we need to find, is equal to dy by du times du by dx, which is going to be equal to dy by du is cosine of u times 28, which is du by, or 27, which is du by dx. طبعا, there's one last step now. You need to substitute for u. For dy by dx, it's going to be equal to cosine of u. What is u? U is 27x plus 8 because we want our answer to be in x form. Plus 82. This is our u value. Times 27. We could just put the 27 in the beginning as this is how usually the order is. And this is your final answer. 27 cosine 27x plus 82. So it's not this one. 27 cosine. Yeah, it's not this, not this, not this. So yes, it is B. All right, 27 cosine, 27x plus 82. A shortcut method in the case where you just have x, you don't have x squared or x cubed or any of that. Remember, if it is just x, you can simply just take the 27 and multiply it outside, and that's it. In the case if you just have x, right? But this is, I don't recommend doing this if you're not comfortable. لأن إذا كان عندكم x cubed, x power 5, or you have multiple x's, you need to know how to actually solve in that way. All right. So this will always work out. You let u find your du by dx, find your dy by du, and then multiply your dy by du by du by dx عشان تحصلون dy by dx, and substitute your value of u back into u. This will always be the same way of solving for any function. Now, let's look at this question. This is an actually good question. All right. And so far, I believe everything is very straightforward, nothing too complicated. This one might confuse people in general when they look at it the first time, but remember the rules that we have. So now they want us to find area between the curves. So when you read area, just know you are going to be doing integration. All right, that's what area between the curves is. What is the area between the curves? Which curves? Y equal x squared plus 2x plus 2 and y equal x plus 10. So we have two curves. What does this mean? If I want to plot it, just so you guys understand the concept in this one, if I plot it, then For example, let's say when x equal 0 هني y is equal to 2 معناته it's going to be somewhere here. So it's going to be looking something like this because it's a quadratic. And the other one is when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 10. When y is equal to 0, x is minus 10. So it's going to be a line something like that. All right. So it's going to look something like this. تقريبا يعني. All right. And this will be your shaded area. Obviously, you don't have to draw it. I'm only drawing this to explain the concept, nothing more. So this is going to be your entire area over here. All right. This is the area that you need to find. When you draw it, you know that this is y. Let me actually color code this. So let me make this red so you know which one I'm talking about. This is the equation of y equal x plus 10. And this is the blue. This is y is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 2. All right? Which is this line over here, this equation. The parabola. زين? So the idea here is how would you find this area? Okay. Again, sorry, the area is all the way until here. It's this entire area enclosed between all of this. All right. In this question, they don't want you to find this total area. They want a very specific area to be found. They want you to find from x equal 8. So let's say somewhere around here, for example, this is x equal 8 up to x equal 22. Let's say it's somewhere around here, for example. Then this is x equal 22. So the only area they actually want you to find is the area between all these. So it's from here till here. This is the area that they actually want you to find. But you don't need to graphically see this to understand it. All you need to understand is you have two curves and you have two ranges. Your x values instantly, they're just going to go into your integration like this. So you know it's from 8 to 22. It doesn't matter what's inside. We know that we want the area between these 2 points. So this is what the x values represent. All right. But what about the curves? How do you find the area of two curves like this? The way you find area of two curves is you're going to do the upper one minus the lower one. In this case, we have x plus 10 as the upper one and x squared plus 2x plus 2 on the lower one. But again, it doesn't matter the order, and I will explain why in a bit. So let's just say we do it in order. Yani the first one we look at. So it's going to be the integration of x squared plus 2x plus 2 dx minus the integration from 8 to 22 of the second one, which is x plus 10 dx. All right. This is what it means. You're going to be integrating your first one, which is in red. This is not in red. This one's in red. And let's say that this is y2. All right. And this is our y1, which is y x squared 2x plus 2. All right. y1. You will always be integrating one minus the other. And the rule is usually the up minus the down. Okay. So usually it's up minus down. However, I knew how to draw it. That's why we know that y2 is up and y1 is down. Technically, I should do y2 minus y1, but it doesn't matter. I'll tell you why in a bit. The idea, what you just need to know is you're going to be subtracting one from the other. يعني لازم تسوون minus. If we do that, let's do the integration using the calculator very quickly. Let's do for each one separately. So let's find the value of the first integration and then the second integration. So this one is the first integration, and then we have a minus sign, and we have the second integration over here. Okay, so using the calculator, integrate from of x squared plus 2x plus 2 from 8 to 22. All right. The first number I got was 3826.67. The second number is the integration of x plus 10 from 8 to 22. which is 350. Is this right? دقيقة بس. Let me check my first integration again. Yeah, all right. It's okay. So, we did up minus, again, it doesn't matter. We didn't care about up minus down. We did one minus the other, all right? So here, if you put this into the calculator and find the actual answer, so 3826.67 minus 350 is equal to 3476.67. All right, معناته this is our answer. However, what if we did the opposite? What if we said it's 350 minus 382.6.67? يعني what if we did this first and then we did minus this second? Again, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you will get this exact same answer, but it will be a negative value. And I told you area is always positive. All right? Area is always positive. Always positive. Okay? معناته whatever value you get, you're just going to have to put the positive value of it. So it's going to be the absolute value of whatever number you get here. Okay? So quick recap, all you're going to do is you're going to do one curve minus the other curve, يعني one of the y's minus the next y, and your x's is going to be your range, meaning يعني your integration from and to, and then you're just going to plug in the equation, and then you're just going to solve and find your final answer. All right? Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Any questions about this before I move on? There is another one that we have with graphing, and I will go through it as well. It is very similar, and the plots are actually given. All right. So let's move on. Integration, very simple, very basic. This is going to be equal to 26x squared becomes 26x cubed over 3 plus 72x squared over 2 plus x, the range is from 0 to 8. So if we do this the manual method, this is going to be 26 into 8 cubed over 3 plus 72 into x squared, which is 8 squared over 2 plus 8 minus, and you're going to notice everything is just 0 plus 0 plus 0 because you put 0 and x everywhere and it's just going to be 0. So now you can just plug this into your calculator. 26 into 8 power 3 over 3 plus 72 into 8 squared over 2 plus 8, which is equal to 6749.333. All right, so 6749.333, it's not going to be a negative number in this case. Nope, and nope. It is the first one. The way you might get a negative number is if the upper range is smaller than the lower range. Yani if you're starting from, let's say from 3 going to 1, you will get a negative value for your integration. If the top one is positive and the bottom one is 0 or less, I should say, then you would get a positive integration, but you don't need to know too much about that. Let's look at the next question. Right, going back to our limits. So if we look at this limit over here, we have the limit as x goes to 0 for 46. If we substitute, we're going to get 46 times 0 in the denominator, means that we cannot directly substitute, all right, because we're going to get 0 in our denominator, all right? So this is not possible. So what do we have to do? In this case, remember, you're going to go through your cases. Case 0, substitute. Substitute didn't work, so we go to case 1. Is there a square root? Square root, so we can find the conjugate. Is there any square root so we can conjugate? Nope, so we're not going to do that. So we go to our case 2, which is factoring. And let's see if we can factor this. So we have 62x plus 25x squared plus x cubed divided by 46x. Yes, you can factor it. You have x everywhere in all the elements in the numerator. So you can take it out as a factor. You're going to have 62 plus 25x plus x squared divided by 46x. So yes, we could factor. And once we factored, we were able to cancel our x up and down. So we will have 62 plus 25x plus x squared over 46. And now we could just find the limit of this number. So what is it? The limit as x goes to 0. معناته we just plug in 0 everywhere else. So we're going to have 62 plus 25 times 0 plus 0 squared over 46. يعني we're just simply going to have 62 over 46. And that's our final answer, which is A. All right. Again, you're going to go through your cases. The first case is just direct substitution. We substituted, not possible. Then we go to our next case. Case 1 is a square root, and you use your conjugate if you have the square root of x. All right, so I'm just going to write square root x. Do we have the square root of x anywhere here? No, so we cannot use case 1. Then we move on to case 2, which is factoring. Can we factor? Yes, we can. We do that, simplify, and then find our final answer. All right. That's a good question. So he was asking if in the limit, يعني when do you use, all right, let me give you an example. So this example over here, it became 46 times 0, all right? Let me think of something else. I'm trying to think of a question where you will have 1 over infinity. But in this case over here, you have 0. Why do you have 0? Because you have an x in the denominator. This x is the reason it is becoming 0. If this x is not the reason it became 0, then it will become 1 over infinity. For example, let's say we have the limit of x to 0. All right. Let me try to think of an equation. So let's say 3x squared plus 2x plus 5x. Then let's make this cubed and this squared. And at the bottom, let me think. Let's say we have the square root, not the square root, no. Let's say we have 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. Will that happen? Just let me think about it for a second. And then I'm not sure how to do it, but let's say, for example, we have plus 2 minus 2. For example, and then let's say we have this as our denominator. All right. I know that this will become 0. Okay. I know that much. And let's say we have here just x squared plus x. Okay. I know this doesn't make sense, but let's use this as an example for now. All right. If we do our factorization, and this was also times x, something like that. We do our factorization, because and then x outside in the numerator, so we'll have x squared plus 2x plus 5 over the factorization at the bottom. It's going to become x into 1 plus, or sorry, x into x plus 1 plus 2 minus 2. Also, this wouldn't work out either. Let's remove this x. And then let's keep it this way. Then usually this will happen with square root and I can't find any function. So let's say it's 2 minus 2 times x, like this. And then, for example. So it's going to become, if we take the factor, we've gotten 2 minus 2 into x. And we took the factor of x out, so it will remain this way. Okay? So now we can cancel the x up and down, and it will no longer cause the bottom denominator to be 0 when we substitute for x. This is what is meant. So when you do the limit now, when you do the limit as x goes to 0 of this function اللي هو 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 over x plus 2 minus 2, for example, then this is going to give us 0 plus 0 plus 5 over 0 plus 2 minus 2. So the x itself was not the reason of us getting a 0 in the denominator. All right? The x itself was not the reason. The constants in the equation eventually became 0. That is what I mean. Yani when you did the simplification, and this will occur when you have conjugates, when you did the simplification طلع لكم 5 over 0. It's not because of the x. x عوضناه استوى 0 هني, but this wasn't because of x. We already have removed the x that caused the denominator to be 0. This is because of the natural way the equation is. Therefore, this will be equal to infinity. Obviously, this isn't actually the case in this question because 2 minus 2 is actually 0 by itself. So you'll be canceling x and all of that. But in such a case, you will have the value going to infinity. When you factor everything out and you cannot solve anymore, and you still get a 0 in the denominator, you will get infinity. Okay? That is basically the idea of this. If I do find another question similar to this, I will look at it and try to solve it with you guys. But for now, let us move on with solving other questions. Let's see here. All right. Solve the below initial value problem. Solve the below initial value problem. All right. So we have dy by dx plus x equals 15, and they gave us initial conditions. What does initial conditions mean? It means that this is our x equals 0, and this is our y is equal to 40. This is what initial conditions are. معناته we're going to get plus c, and then we need to solve for the c value. So the first situation is to separate everything. So we're going to have dy by dx by itself on its side, and we'll move the x to the other side. So it will be 15 minus x. All right. Then we are going to separate our dy and dx. فمعناته dy is here equal 15 minus x times dx. And we have our dx here. Now, the x's are all together. So the x over here is with dx over here. And our dy is by itself on the left with y, but we don't have any y's. So now we can integrate. So we do our integration of dy, which is, again, a reminder, 1 dy. It's the same thing. And our integration of 15 minus x dx, which will give us y is equal to 15x minus x squared over 2 plus c. And this is already y on the left side, so this is our final answer. However, we were given initial conditions. معناته we need to find the value of c. So we have to find the value of c because we are given initial conditions. How do we do that? We plug in our values that we got from here. All right. So we're going to have y is equal to 40, 15 times x minus x squared over 2 plus c. All right. So what is our x value? It is 0 and 0. معناته, if you notice here, this all becomes 0 and 0. We will have 40 is equal to c, or in other words, c is equal to 40. So now we can plug our value for c back into our main equation. Y is equal to 15x minus x squared over 2 plus 40. So it's not going to be with c. C is wrong because this is an initial value problem. And then the equation is 15x minus plus. So it's not the first one, it is the second one. All right. Let's look at the next question. Again, finding the derivative of y, x equal x times e of x. This y prime is going to be, or dy by dx, product rule, because we have two values. So it's going to be u prime times v plus u v prime. All right. You can memorize this in any way you want, all right, for the product rule. I usually memorize it in this format. Remember, you can move v in the front, u in the front. It doesn't matter which one you put. It's just multiplication and addition. بس أهم شيء you have an يعني opposites. يعني first thing u prime and v, and the next one you're gonna have the normal u and then v prime. Or you can put it in the opposite way around as well. It doesn't matter. All right. But just make sure you have it memorized in whichever way you prefer. So our y is equal to x e x. We have to select a u value. So let's say u is equal to x. معناتها u prime is equal to 1. And the same thing again for our v value. So v is equal to e power x. So v prime is also equal to e power x because the differentiation of e to the power x is just itself, which is e to the power of x. And now we just plug it back into this equation. So y prime is equal to u prime, which is 1, v, which is e to the power of x, plus u, which is x, v prime, which is e to the power of x. Simplifying this, we have e to the power of x plus x e to the power of x. So if you notice here, they wrote it in the opposite way around. They wrote x to the e x first and then e to the power of x second. That's the same answer. So it is this one. It's not minus. There is no 20 anywhere. I don't know where they even got the 20 from. It is just simply that answer. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Again, it is another initial value problem. Yes, the integration of e is also the same. If you have the integration of e to the power x dx, this is also equal to e power x, but you're going to have plus c. All right. So I'm just going to keep this in small here. It is the same. Okay. So solve the below initial value problem. Here, again, the first thing we're going to need to do is separate our x's and y's. All right. So we have dy by dx. I'm just going to rewrite it. 19 cosine x minus 40 sine x. All right. And they gave us an initial value where y equal 1 and x is equal to pi. Okay. So this is our initial value problem. معناتها we're not going to have plus c. So from the beginning, I know this is not the answer because we're going to have to find the value of c. Okay. So I'm going to keep this at the bottom for now. Let us first do our separation. dy is going to be equal to 19 cosine x minus 40 sine x times dx. We have all the x's on one side with dx and on no y's, but in this case, so and dy by itself. So we can just do our integration directly here. So the integration of dy is equal to the integration of 19 cosine x minus 40 sine x dx. All right. So continuing now our differentiation, this is going to be y, because remember, this is the same as saying 1 dy. All right. And the integration of a constant is just y. 19 cosine x becomes, cosine becomes sine of x, but we divide by 19. Oh, sorry. No. This is a constant. It's already outside. It's not inside. So it's just going to be 19 sine of x. And this is a constant, so it will stay outside. Okay. Minus sine becomes plus, because minus and minus becomes plus 40 cosine x. All right. Again, this was negative sine, but the integration of sine is negative cosine. Negative and negative becomes positive. That's why it is plus in between. Plus c. Remember, we are not done over here. Now we need to find our c value. So we need to find our c value. How do we do that? We're going to be plugging in our y and our x. And again, a very important note. Remember, the calculator should be calc in radians, all right? Your calculator has to be in radians because we're dealing with pi. So 1 is equal to 19 sine of pi plus 40 cosine of pi plus c. In other words, 1 is equal to the sine of pi is the sine of 90 degrees, which is 0, plus 40 cosine pi, which is 40 times 1, then the cosine of pi is 1, plus c. In other words, we can say that c is equal to 1 minus 40, so c is equal to negative 39. And now we can plug this back into the equation. So we'll have y is equal to 19 sine x plus 40 cosine x plus c, which is negative 39, right? So it's plus times minus, so it becomes minus 39. And that's it. 19 sine x, 40 cosine x, minus 39. So we have minus 39 over here, and it is D. 1 second. I think I did a mistake somewhere. Let me just check my calculation. So dy by dx, 19 minus, okay. Integration, 19 sine x plus 40 cosine x. This is correct. Plugging this back in, it is 19, 0, 40 plus 40 plus c. Yep. Yep, it is minus 39. I believe there is an actual mistake in the solution then, because my way is definitely correct. I don't see any issue here. Let me just double check one last time. So it's 19 sine pi. Here it is minus cosine, minus sine becomes minus cosine. Yep, that is correct. So minus and minus becomes plus, معناتها plus 40 cosine pi, meaning it is, oh, sorry. Okay, I saw my mistake. So the cosine of pi is negative 1. My bad. All right, calculation error. So it is going to be, C is going to be 1 is equal to minus 40 plus C, معناتها C is equal to 1 plus 40. So C is equal to 41. My bad. So this is plus 41 because the cosine of pi is minus 1. Cosine of 0 is positive 1. All right. Again, don't do shortcuts. Just put this in the calculator and you'll find your answer. So 19 sine x plus 40 cosine x plus 41. So it's all plus, plus, plus. This one is minus. It's not it. Minus 39, not it. So it is the first one. All right. Moving on to the next question. Again, you could just solve this in the calculator directly, but I'm only going to do the integration part very quickly. So the integration becomes, this is equal to the integration from 4 to 17 of 8x power 4 over 2x minus 2x over 2x dx. All right, so you separate your numerators over, with each denominator by itself. So this will become the integration from 4 to 17. Remember, this is just power rule, so you have x power 4 here, x power 1 here, you're going to subtract, and you will be left with 8 over 2 is 4, x power 4 over x power 1, you'll have 4 minus 1, which is 3, minus 2x over 2x is simply 1, times dx. So this is going to be equal to 4x cubed power 4 over 4 minus 1 from 4 to 17, which simplified is 4 and 4 will cancel. You'll have x power 4 minus 1. Oops, sorry, not minus 1, minus x, because you are integrating minus 1, it will become minus x from 4 to 17. So this is going to be equal to, the first part is 17 power 4 minus 17. The second part is 4 power 4 minus 4. And this will give you 17 power 4 minus 17 minus 4 power 4 minus 4, 83252, which is the last answer over here. All right. Again, you can just use the calculator if you want. Going on to the next question. Okay. In this case here, we have the integration of sine 13x plus 30. Again, you will apply the same rule that we did before for sine. So this is going to be minus cosine right, of 13x plus 30. Whatever's inside does not change. So the integration of sine is minus cosine, but you will divide with the value that is multiplied by x, which is in this case 13. So you're going to divide by 13, and then you're just going to have plus c. All right. So it's minus cosine 13x plus 30 divided by 13 plus c. Minus cosine 13x plus 30 divided by 13 plus c. It is the first one. All right. Remember sine, it becomes negative cosine in integration. Okay. All right. Find the derivative of y equal ln x plus 43. Remember that y is equal to, or y prime will be equal to, in this case. You can do this either directly by saying that, okay, this is just ln, so معناته y prime is going to be 1 over x plus 43 because you don't have any multiplication. But the proper way of doing this is you say let u equal x plus 43 because sometimes it will be something more complicated, or maybe it might be. So just in case, you can do it this way, and then you say du by dx is equal to 1, and then you say dy by du, or let's say y will become equal to, since we let u equal this, y will be ln of u. All right. So dy by du is the differentiation of ln u is 1 over u. Okay. So it's equal to basically 1 over x plus 43 because that's what u is. And then you're going to say dy by dx is equal to dy by du times du by dx. معناته it is equal to 1 over x plus 43 times 1, or simply 1 over x plus 43. All right. So using chain rule, the reason this will change is if you have a different value over here. And let's say, for example, if there was a 2 over here, you're going to have a 2 multiplied up top. And then this will be 2, and this will be 2. Okay. The du, because we have a 2 over here. Okay. So this is for the example if we have a value multiplied by x, your values are going to be changing. So I'm just putting these in orange brackets just so you have an idea. All right. Of course, بعد in your solution, you're going to have 2 over here. Then it's 2x plus 43. So 2x plus 43, 2x plus 43. Just as an example. That's why you should use this method instead of directly doing it. Obviously, with practice, you get better at it. Let's look at this question. Again, this is finding the area between two curves. Very simply, if I do it directly now without having to draw anything, I'm just going to say, okay, find the area between the two curves for the first y. So I'm going to have two integrations, and there's one of them is going to be minus. All right. The first y is x squared dx. The second y is 2 plus x squared. All right, dx. It doesn't matter the order because we know even if we get a minus value, we're going to take the positive value because we're talking about area. Then that runs from x equal 7 to x equal 21 for both. X equal 21. And that's it. And now you can just do this integration in the calculator and find your final answer. So I'm going to do each one separately. So this one I'll put first, minus the second one over here. So integration of x power 2 from 7 to 21. This gives me 2972.667. All right. And then again, 2 plus x squared integration. It will give me 300.667. Now, if you notice, I'm going to get a negative value because this number is smaller. So if I do this, 2972.667, I will get 28, or negative 28 to be more exact. But because we are talking about area, is always positive, meaning this will be equal to the absolute value of this number, so it is 28. So in other words, you can always say that this is the absolute value of whatever you get over here. All right? يعني if you understand this concept in the calculator, ترى there is absolute value. You can put the absolute value and then put the integration of this minus the integration of this inside your calculator and find the answer directly, which will be 28 units. Okay, 1 minute. Before that, area should usually be positive, but for some reason, they have chosen the negative value in Moodle in the mock test. I'm not sure why, because it has to be a positive value. It can't be a negative value because they're talking about area specifically. Because I've seen another question where they chose only the positive value. My recommendation is just always put the value that will occur to you, the absolute value, which is the positive value. That would be my recommendation. However, I would recommend you ask the invigilator or the tutor before the exam, even if it's better, to understand what they want from you. لأن area is always going to be a positive value. Here, the negative 28 is only describing that the area is going to be below the x-axis. That's all it is describing. So again, just double check with your tutor. Or in this case, it's not below the x-axis. It's because we took x squared first, not, I mean, يعني the x squared first and not 2 plus x squared. So I believe they just want you to do it in order. زين يعني whichever is first given. So this one minus this one. I think that's what they want you to do. And whatever the answer you get without the absolute value, they want you to put it as a solution. All right, this is what I believe. Because area itself is always a positive value, but I think maybe they just want you to do this directly this way. Okay, again, just double check with your tutor about this and double check with the invigilator during the exam if you face such an issue, just in case. Moving on to the next question. It is basic integration. I'm going to start solving a bit quicker because of the lack of time. So here, again, you're just going to integrate each one. Basic rule. This is going to be x8 power x9 over 9 plus x squared over 2 plus a constant, so it's 12x, plus e to the power 34x does not change, but because it's multiplied by 34, we need to divide by 34, similar to the rule we did with sine, plus 1 over x becomes ln x plus c. So it's going to be not this one, x power 9, okay, not this one. And then what's the difference between these two? You divide by 34, so it's not this one. This will be your final answer. Remember, you're just dividing by the constant multiplied by x, the same thing we did for sine and for cosine, the same idea, okay? The same thing you will do for your exponential. Okay. Let's look at this question. This is an interesting question. So it says the integral represents the area between two curves of f of x cosine x and g of x sine of x, all right? Between x equal this much and this, as shown in the figure below. There is no figure shown. Oh, okay, there is a figure shown. You can zoom the mouse, move, okay? Express the area as a definite integral. So basically, they gave you an area. This isn't the same question. I don't know why this is given here. المهم, it's part A and part B. Okay, so let's do this first. So this is part A, between 13 over 4 pi. So again, how do you do this? It's going to be f of x minus g of x, right? Or I should be more specific, بيكون الانتجريشن. So this is going to be the integration of f of x minus the integration of g of x. This is the same as saying the integration of f of x minus g of x, all right? يعني you can group them directly with each other if you want. You can add and subtract integrals together as long as you have the same range. And in this case, we have the same range. We have from 13 over 4 pi to 41 over 12 pi. Then the same thing over here, 13 over 4 pi and 41 over 12 pi. معناته 13 over 4 pi until 41 over 12 pi. If you have the same range, you can add and subtract integrals together and combine them as you like. So f of x is cosine x minus g of x, which is sine of x, dx, and the integration is from 13 over 4 pi to 41 over 12 pi, and that's pretty much it. So cosine x minus sine x, which one is cosine x minus sine x? All right. Here, if you notice, they gave you two options that are very similar. First one, they gave you cosine x minus sine x. The second one, they gave you sine x minus cosine x. But in the question, it says between the two curves, the first one given to be f of x and the second one given to be g of x. So you'll always go in order. The first one is cosine x minus the second one, which is sine x. All right, so always go in order. So C will be your answer. All right. When they're asking for area between the two curves, it is the first one minus the second one. This is what they are looking for. The second part of this equation is, let me take a screenshot of this, just a second. One second, I'm just trying to make it look good. Okay, there we go. So the question says, where was the question? Over here. Compute the area of the figure given below. So this figure over here. How do you find the area? Very simple. It's up minus down. So what is it? G of x in this case. G of x. So the integration of g of x minus f of x. Okay, dx. Yes, يعني whatever the first function is minus the second function. And what is our range? If you notice here, it starts from -6. So it starts from -6 and it ends at -4. Ends at -4. So your final integration will be from -6 to -4. G of x is 4 minus x over 2 minus x plus 4 dx. If it's easier for you guys to do it separately, you guys can do it separately. You could say that this is minus the integration from -6 minus 4 of, yeah, this will be dx and this will be minus, and that's it. All right, and you can put it directly in your calculator to find your answer. So it will be 4 minus x over 2, not over x, over 2. 4 minus x over 2, starting from -6 and ending at -4, minus the integration of x plus 4, starting from -6 and ending at -4. And this will give you I got 15. I don't know how I got 15. دقيقة بس. So 4 minus x over 2, x plus 4. Yep, all right. From -6 to -4. Yes, I don't know how the solution is different for them here. But your area will be 15. Okay. So this is basically the technique you'll be using. You're going to be substituting the equation of this. You're going to be finding the points where you're trying to find the area in between. So from -6 to -4, remember the smaller number first and then the larger number next. Then you're going to be subtracting the top or the bottom from the top. Yeah, and you're going to be doing the top minus the bottom. If you do bottom minus top, it's going to be the same thing, but you're just going to get a negative value. That's the only difference. Okay. Let's move on. Next one is another integration question that I'll go through very quickly. Simple integration which is, again, remember, square root of x is the same as x to the power of half, all right? So when we do this integration, it is 22x power 8 over 8 plus 14x squared over 2 plus square root of x is x power half, so it's going to become x power 3 over 2 over 3 over 2. Remember that 3 over 2 is just half plus 1, all right? And that's it. This is your final answer, and of course the plus c. So we have 22x 8 over 8, so it's not this one, plus 14x squared over 2, so it's not the first one, plus x 3 over 2 over 3 over 2, so it's not this one. This is your answer. Derivative of e power 34x is 34e power 34x. Yes, exactly. So if you're doing differentiation, and if I say dy by dx, when y is equal to e power 5x, for example, dy by dx is going to be 5 times e power 5x, right? But the integration is going to be the opposite. So integration of 5x dx, this will give you e5x will not change, but you are dividing by 5. Anything you're doing in differentiation, you're doing the opposite in integration. All right? Now, yeah, and that's it for this question. Let's move on to the next question. So, again, it is talking about plotting. Let me just copy paste this here. So, the integral represents the area between two curves. So the first one, they gave you f of x, x plus 4, and g of x, 4 minus x over 2, similar to the previous one. So x plus 4, this is your f of x, and g of x is equal to 4 minus x over 2 between left and right boundaries for x as shown. Express the area as a definite integral. I have already showed this earlier. It is going to be the integral from minus 6 all the way to minus 4. F of x is x plus 4 minus g of x, which is 4 minus x over 2 dx. All right, that's it. So it starts from minus 6 going to minus 4. In this case, they did f of x minus g of x. And just follow that rule. Just do f of x minus g of x. So it's going to be x plus 4 minus 4 minus x over 2 dx, which is c. Okay? Actually, no. Remember, the up over here was different. Yes, it was the opposite because we have g of x as up. So it's going to be g of x minus f of x. So we're just going to swap these two places like we did earlier, right? It's going to be 4 minus x over 2 minus x plus 4. Remember, it is simply up minus down, okay? Because it says in the figure below, so there should be a figure that will clarify this, but in here, I don't know why it's not showing me the figure. And then it says compute the area of the figure. Ah, I see. So early on, they wanted me to find the area of this. Just plug it into the calculator. That's why the answer is different. And this one was supposed to be for here. But you guys already know how to find the area. You just plug this into the calculator. Just do up minus down and you're going to be fine. All right. Moving on. Okay. Back to limits. So you have this limit question. Again, remember, just go case by case. So what's the first case for limit? Case 0, which is substitute. Substitute. So let's substitute. It's going to be 0 plus 19 times 0, or yani 0 squared plus 19 times 0 plus 94 over 0 plus 4. You don't get 0 in the denominator, so that's it. You get your answer directly here, which is 94 over 4. All right, so you don't have to do anything more. So always first thing substitute to see if you do need to do factorization or radicalization or anything like that. Another question here is y is equal to square root of x. Find the derivative. Derivative, remember this is y equal x power half. So y prime is simply x power half minus 1 times half, meaning this is going to be half, and 1 over 2 x to the power of x to the power half minus half, meaning x to the power of minus half. Minus half means يعني it can go into the denominator, so it's going to be 2x power half, meaning it is going to be 1 over 2 square root x. Okay, this is how you would solve for this question. Okay, another case of limit. Let's go over it very quickly. So here we have the limit of x to go 0. If you plug it in, يعني case 0 is not possible. Let's go to case 1, which is finding the conjugate. Can we? Yes, because we have a square root of x. So we're going to be using case 1. So that means we're going to do square root of x plus 49 minus the square root of 49 minus x times, this is where you multiply with the conjugate, so it's divided by x, divided by x. So up and down, we're multiplying with the conjugate. What is the conjugate? The exact same value, x plus 49. Only difference is you're going to have plus now instead of minus, 49 minus x. So square root of x plus 49 plus square root 49 minus x. Remember, the rule for conjugate is a minus b into a plus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. And that's what we are applying in the numerator. So it will become the square root of x plus 49 squared minus the square root of 49 minus x squared. And in the denominator, it's just going to be the multiplication, but do not distribute. So keep it the same way it is. X plus 49 plus square root of 49 minus x. Okay. So now if you notice in the top, this will cancel with the square root. With the square root, you will be remaining with x plus 49 minus 49 minus x over x into the whole denominator over here. It does not change. Okay. All right, the denominator here will not change. And you'll keep it the same way. Let's simplify the numerator. We are going to get x plus 49 minus 49 plus x. And in the denominator, it's going to stay the same, which is x times all of this. Okay, so this is equal to 49 minus 49 becomes 0. We will remain with 2x, x plus x, which is 2x at the top, and the same denominator at the bottom. But now we can cancel our x's. So this x will go away with this x. And now we can apply the limit. So it's going to be the limit as x goes to 0 of 2 over the square root of x plus 49 plus the square root of 49 minus x, which is equal to 2 over, if we substitute 0, it's going to be square root of 49 plus the square root of 49. Remember that the square root of 49 is just 7 plus 7, so it is 2 over سويت خلطة مكان شيء وأنا ملاحظ 2 over 2 over 14, that's right, which is 1 over 7. In the answer, they said 1 over square root 49. The way they got this is what they did here in this step. They said it's 2 over 2 square root 49. 2 times square root 49. And then they just canceled the 2. So it's the same answer, yani. 1 over square root 49. And the square root of 49 is simply just 7. All right? That's what they did over here. Don't get confused. It's the same solving. And so your answer is going to be 1 over the square root of 49 over here. Just a few more questions left. Okay. So find the derivative of y equals 17 square root of 17x plus 53. again, all you're going to be doing is you're going to say u is equal to 17x plus 53 and find your du by dx, which is 17. Once you do that, you can say y is equal to the square root of u. Or in other words, this is the same as saying u to the power of half. And now you can find dy by du, which is half times u to the power of minus half. Then it becomes half minus 1. Or in other words, it's half times 17x plus 53 to the power of minus half. Okay? Remember, it's just the same thing. Before even plugging this in, before I substitute the u, simplify it in terms of u first. So u minus half, this is the same as saying 1 over 2 u to the power of half, or square root of u. Okay? It's the same thing. So this is also equal to substitution of this. So it's going to be 1 over 2 square root of u, which is 17x plus 53. And this is your dy by du in terms of x. So dy by dx is equal to dy by du times du by dx, right? This du by dx that we have found over here. So this is equal to, so dy by dx will be equal to dy by du is 1 over 2 square root 17x plus 53 times 17, or in other words, you just put the 17 on top, divided by 2, the square root of 17x plus 53. All right. So it's 17 over 2 square root 17x plus 53, which is the first one. Okay. Moving on. Let's see the next question. This is the second to last question we have today. So find the derivative of y e to the power of 21x. Very simple. So y prime, or dy by dx, is going to be equal to 21 times e to the power of 21x. All right. So all you do is you're going to take this and multiply it outside. Okay. So it's 21e 21x. The last question we have here is, oh, it's a nice one. All right. So خلنا نخلص هني ونختمها على خير إن شاء الله. The last question we have is dy by dx equal 11 sine x over cosine y. So we have separation here. So this is the original equation we have. 11 sine x over the cosine of y. First thing you need to do is separate your dy and dx. So we're going to say that dy is equal to 11 sine x over cosine y dx. Okay, so now we have our x with dx, but our y is not with dy. So we need to move the cosine y to dy. So what we will do is it's going to become cosine y dy. We're just moving this to up here, is equal to 11 sine x dx. Now that everything is together, the y is with dy and the x is with dx on the same side of the equation, we integrate. So it's going to be the integration of cosine y dy is equal to 11, or the integration of 11 sine x dx. Integrating here will give us cosine becomes sine of y, because we're integrating in terms of y. So cosine becomes sine of y is equal to negative 11 cosine x plus c. All right. Remember that we need to find, because sine x becomes negative cosine x. Remember that we are trying to find just in terms of y. So when you have the sine of something, how do you take it to the other side? You just do the inverse sign. معناته this is going to be y is equal to sine power minus 1, which is known as inverse sine of everything on the right side. So minus 11 cosine x plus c. And this is your final answer. So it is sine inverse of negative 11 cosine x plus c, which is the value over here, and that is the end of the mock test.